my Facebook. There it is. Give me a minute. For anybody watching this later, I suggest to fast forward a little bit. All right. All right. So it is 2022, Benzodiazepine Awareness Day. Going to get that. All right. We are widescreened, so I don't look like I'm laying down, but I'm on a weird angle. This video is going to probably be, I would say, about an hour long. I'm going to tell my story. I'm going to tell it as much as I can. It's not going to be easy for me because I really try not to tell the story anymore because I've been dealing with this for 6 years. And just so you know, I do have a chat available. I'm not going to be watching it, but if you have any questions, I'll answer them at the end of the video. Okay, let me turn off my air conditioner. It gets noisy. So everything started when me and my former girlfriend, we just moved to Texas and moved there to, have, just get away. We were trying to get away from some things here and just wanted to do something fun. We got there, trying to get used to it there. And my anxiety was really bad. I had generalized anxiety for a long time, but my anxiety was a lot higher due to circumstances that were happening for a little while. And went to the doctor, and very simply, I told him about how I tried different medications like different antidepressants, SSRIs, SSNIs, and stuff like that. I've probably tried like 6 or 7 beforehand, and nothing worked. Everything made me sick and gave me bad side effects. So he suggested, now mind you, I'm going to try to put all the information I can in this, but I'm never going to remember the whole story. Part of this is I lost a huge amount of memory, and I've had to write things down before, but I don't have it in front of me. I just want to tell the story for what it is. So we decided Xanax would be something. I did not know anything really about pharmaceutical drugs that much. I took the words of doctors and trusted doctors, even though I had issues with doctors for a long time. let me put it this way. Xanax sounded like a good idea because it wasn't something that had to necessarily build up into your system. And it was something that would like work, relatively fast. And I'm like, okay, well, we can try it. It won't hurt. And maybe I'll feel good off of it. And so whatever. Got that prescribed, got it filled. Um, I took one. I was on the lowest dose I could possibly be on Xanax, and honestly, there is no low dose in benzodiazepines. I mean, I can't remember what the equivalent from Xanax to Valium is, but it's like small amount of milligrams of Xanax is like 20 milligrams of Valium. So it's like in the end, it would have been like I was on 20 milligrams of Valium. So, but it was a really low dose of Xanax. I took one, made my head feel weird, but my anxiety went away. I went out for work. I did my thing. I remember going to Goodwill, and I remember going, I think this is it. I think this is exactly what I was looking for. To be honest, I was pretty surprised because I'm just plugging in. I was surprised that I felt as good as I did. Um, I wasn't worrying about the stressor that kept plaguing me at the time, so I could get back to what my life was, or should have been about, uh, working on my relationships, getting my job back going, and everything, life stuff. And so I took it for 3-4 days. All of a sudden, it wasn't working as well. My anxiety started getting worse. It was weird, kind of right away. So I didn't really think much of it. I talked to the doctor, and they said, you can take a little more. It's not a huge deal. So I took a little more, back to, where I was feeling better. A couple days later, my anxiety was coming back. And it was coming back worse than it was before. And that was starting to be scary. So we're into like a week now. I was thinking to myself, there is a major problem because I can't keep going up on Xanax every 4 days because then I will be in a situation I cannot get out of. I've always kind of been in a situation, if I took medication, I'd always have to keep taking more and more and more. I've been in bad spots before because of it. So I already knew I wasn't going to do that. So I was taking the Xanax as prescribed, and remember, everything is as prescribed. I wasn't abusing it. I was never a quote addict, but I was getting dependent on it like right away. Because if I started not to take it, I started feeling really weird. But I didn't know what was going on just yet. So I would say, to speed up a little bit, I would say about a week and a half to 2 weeks, I was waking up in the middle of the night, sweating my ass off. And I didn't know what it was coming from, but I had an idea that I was going through withdrawals, which is called interdose withdrawals. So I was taking the medication, but it wasn't lasting long enough, And I was already dependent on it within 2 weeks. I decided to try not to take it, just to get rid of it and stop it and get through, because everything was getting worse. I was getting, I remember I was sitting in my studio chair, my workroom chair, and I remember I was getting these burning pinpricks in my arm. And I remember looking at a case. It was like a hard shell case in my studio room. And I was looking at it, and it was moving, and there was little screws on it, and they would start to fall. It was really weird. I was hallucinating, and all this stuff started happening. I'm not going to go through the whole symptoms of what I was dealing with at that time, because I'm going to go through a whole entire list of symptoms that I've dealt with and I'm dealing with today. But, I was hallucinating, my skin was burning, and it felt like people were taking needles to my skin, and my head felt like it was going in reverse, and I was sinking in the ground. It was just awful. And this was all happened within 2 weeks. So, and this was all as prescribed. I didn't know what the fuck was going on, but I knew it was because of the medication. Now all of a sudden my anxiety is beyond uncontrollable. I was wishing that I could go back to where I was before all this. And that was just 2 weeks. I was suggested to stay on it a little longer, but instead change me over to Klonopin, which is just another benzo but longer half-life, so it will last longer. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I'll just do whatever. I'm like, I was fucking dying. I had no idea what was going on, but the mental craziness that I was feeling, and the physical symptoms were just intense. So I got on Klonopin. It didn't help at all. The half-life didn't fucking matter whatsoever. And I was surprised because it should have. So anyway, sorry, my mind gets a little, I don't want to skip huge portions of the story, but I want it to be here for people to listen to know what I've gone through and where I'm at now. As you can see, I'm doing okay. But just know it's been a long, long ride. 6 years now. Literally just recently it was 6 years. So I ended up going to the doctor, that psychiatrist who prescribed this, and I said, I told him what was going on, and he looked at me and laughed and said, "You're on a baby dose." I fucking hate that. I hate that he said that. I'll never forget. He's like, "You're on a baby dose. Just stop taking it, and then all this will stop." So basically, he stopped prescribing it. He took me right off of it. I stopped taking it. And even if he didn't rip me off, I was going to stop taking it anyways, because it was either I was going to spiral into taking more and more and more and more until the day I just killed myself, or I was just going to, deal with what I had to deal with. And I figured dealing with it was a better option for me and my relationship at the time and my life. So I got off the pills, and within 24 hours, all hell broke loose. That's when my life changed. Everything changed. Everything stopped. I couldn't believe it. So it was either be on a medication and keep upping it to the point of it not working, and then having to get off a ton of it and probably end up in a hospital, or deal with what I was about to deal with. It's emotional. It's beyond what I can tell you happened. Like, just for a small amount of medication. It's beyond what I fathomed to happen. I'm going to tell you all the symptoms I had, and this is going to take a while. And they're all in alphabetical order, so I'm not going by which one was worse or which one was better, but I'll tell you. Within 24 hours of not taking a benzodiazepine after a few weeks use. In the end, I was actually on it for about 3 months. But the hell started within a few weeks. But by the time I found a psychiatrist, another psychiatrist, it was my regular doctor that put me on it. So when I asked my regular doctor, I need to get off of it because it's killing me, he said, well, you're going to have to talk to your psychiatrist. So it was like a mess. He should have never prescribed it. So I found a psychiatrist and I couldn't get in for like a month and a half. So I kept taking more Xanax, Klonopin, until about 3 months' time. Once that doctor said it was a baby dose and pulled me off, I'm telling you, right there is a fucking timeline that I can't tell you. I'll never forget it until the day I fucking die. Will be the worst moment of my life. And it's not like people can say things like, well, you had cancer, I understand. You have AIDS, I understand. You have, anything, I understand. Everything about this, nobody could understand. And even people I talk to about it for years on end can't understand. And I don't blame them. Well, to be honest, the worst was the absolute brain damage feeling. There's no way to explain it because MRIs don't show it. The worst things when tests don't show what you're going through, doctors don't believe you. And when doctors don't believe you, most people don't believe you. Loved ones don't believe you. The loved ones that claimed to believe you for a long time, they don't realize that this can last for years. Pure nervous system damage and pure brain disorder damage. It felt like somebody put acid into my head and I was left for fucking dead. There was no fucking way I could live the way, after what happened, how I could live that way. And I could only hope that it was only going to last a couple months. But in my head, I'm like, this was so bad. Like everything I was dealing with and going through, it was so bad. There was no way it was only going to last a couple months. I'm like, this is going to be a fucking long ride. I'm like, just by taking these pills, I literally destroyed my life or changed it drastically. So anyway, I had that. And most of this stuff I'm talking about, I still have, but it's on a much lesser scale. So the 24 hours after that, my brain literally felt like somebody poured acid into my brain, and everything, all my fucking surroundings and everything. There's no way to explain it because there's nothing anybody has related it to. I call it brain damage, even though it doesn't show up in scans. It's just like the nervous system is damaged, but it's like it doesn't show up in a typical scan or anything. But it's absolute chemical. I don't even know how to explain it. Still to this day, 6 years later, I don't know how to explain it. It was like Jeffrey Dahmer drilled my brain and put fucking acid in it. All while the DPDR, which is depersonalization and derealization, where you feel very disconnected from reality. where you can look at your own fucking limbs and don't even know that they're your own. You have to question that you are you every fucking day. Don't you fucking dare look in the fucking mirror. It's fucking terrifying. The fucking pain. And it's not just pain. It's a nerve pain that isn't... It's unimaginable. It's not like anything you've ever felt or been talked about. It was absolutely excruciating. All systems go. Basically, all your systems go. It's like having every disease made to man all at once. And that's what they mean. There's not one symptom I didn't fucking have. I had a list of hundreds of symptoms I dealt with. So, the burning sensations all over my body and skull. It was so intense. There was a band around my head. It would go around my head, and it was a pressure. It was this vice pressure. Now, mind you, all these symptoms were going on 24 hours a day. All together. Luckily, after years, they started to separate. But, so the pressure in my head, it was so intense, I actually thought my brain was getting squeezed from whatever it was. And I thought that's why I was having the sensations of tripping on acid or feeling like my brain is getting burnt from the inside. I've just touched the beginning, just touched. This is stuff that nobody could live through because it's so intense. And it's not like I'm talking about it was burning my skin. No. It fucking felt like fire all the time. I've been burnt before, and that's what this felt like on my skin 24 hours a day. I fucking screamed. I fucking yelled. And after a while, I couldn't do that because my girlfriend at the time, I didn't want people to throw me into a fucking mental ward. Because I knew right away. Because once I found a forum about what was going on, I learned what was going on. But we'll get to that. I can't believe I'm almost 25 minutes in and I haven't touched the beginning of this fucking story. But I'll speed it up as I go. But the anxiety was just panic all the time. So when you have a panic attack, it was just all the time, 24 hours a day. And that makes all other symptoms just out of control. It still does to this day. Any kind of anxiety makes my symptoms way worse. So as like typical withdrawal, I had electricity going through my body. Let alone the fucking pain and the fucking burning and the pressure and the everything else. The electrical current that would run through my body felt like I was getting electrocuted all the time. And it wasn't just a current going through my body, it was a fucking electrical fucking current going through my body. I literally could sit in the bathtub, put my hands on the water, and I could literally see vibrations happening from my body, and I was not shaking. There was something happening, and it was intense. But between that and the cognitive stuff, and oh my god, the cramping, and oh my god, the fucking raging diarrhea 24/7 for years. Just just the dysphoria of all of it was totally nuts. The electro zaps in your head, you know, that's a pretty normal one. Half my face got completely numb from here down, all the way, like all the way up to here, all the way up. My whole face, that whole part of my face was completely fucking numb. I could literally cut it. And I made cuts in my fucking face to see if I could still feel. And I couldn't feel my face. I lost the feeling in half my face. The back of my neck would crawl like there was a big spider on it, and it would just crawl all the time. It was a fucking terrible feeling. But the paranoia and anxiety, panic and fear and, oh my God. And it's just like all that DPDR and the anxiety and the raging brain fog. And I've dealt with brain fog and DPDR kind of like for the last 30 years nonetheless, because I just have, you know, mental type issues in general. But once this happened, it was absolutely insane. And I thought I was hallucinating before being on the fucking medication. My hallucinations went wild. Wild. So before I keep going through symptoms of what I was dealing with, I went back to the doctor and said what was going on. And he suggested I go back on the medication. I said I'd rather fucking die, because this is what fucking put me here. I couldn't drive anymore. I lost almost everything. I was getting supported by my former girlfriend, which was great at the time. And they put me on gabapentin. I didn't know any fucking better. They put me on Remeron. So gabapentin, Remeron. I don't know why I didn't write this shit down. They put me on Flexerol. It's another, it's like antidepressant type. I can't remember. But whatever, they polydrugged me on a bunch of drugs. This is the fucking problem in the medical community, because when you have problems from the medication, they keep giving you new drugs, basically until you're fucking schizophrenic, and then you're fucking thrown in a fucking hospital to fucking die. So I was on a bunch of drugs. Nothing was helping me, but I was now dependent on a bunch more psychiatric drugs, pain meds, stuff like that. So this lasted for about a year, being on all these pills. So we'll get there eventually. But after coming off the medication originally, with all the things that I told you that were happening, there's still probably another 100 symptoms that I was dealing with. The sensory issues, that's still big to me today. Hearing sensory, I can finally listen to music again. But I guess I shouldn't move forward yet. I could not listen to music for a good few years. And it's not just because the music bothered me, but when you listen to music, it brought you into a fucking world you almost couldn't get out of. Like, I would detach from reality. My only hope was to... Anyway, we'll get to that. I would detach from fucking reality. The visual sensory issues, everything was insane. I couldn't look at anything. I could barely even watch TV. I fucking love TV. Yeah, I loved music. I loved music. I couldn't listen to it. I couldn't wear clothing that touched my skin very much, because my skin was so fucking terrible. I couldn't be touched at all. And if I did, I'd have to hide it. The insomnia lasted forever. I didn't fucking sleep for so long. Until I got the Remeron. Once I got on that antidepressant, it's like an antidepressant anyway, that made me sleep. But I was also a fucking complete zombie now. But I was sleeping, but it wasn't good sleep. So, always feeling like I was going to throw up 24/7. I lost everything sexually. That was gone. Completely gone. There was no hope for it. When you're trying to build a relationship and you become debilitated, obviously that's the last thing on your mind. But the fact that even if you wanted to push that, wouldn't have mattered anyway. The intrusive thoughts of it telling me to kill myself all the fucking time. The racing thoughts. And I didn't want to die because I wanted to get through it, but it was so bad and so scary that my mind kept saying, just fucking die. Just kill yourself. Dude, enough of this shit. You've lived a decent life. Just fucking die. Sadly, I still go through times like that, but not like that. I listened to those fucking thoughts, and the thing is, they weren't just thoughts, they were loud in my head, and they always sounded like they were right here. For some reason, it always sounded like it was right here. Dan. Enough of this, Dan. There's so many ways you could just fucking kill yourself. Fuck this. You only have so many people that care about you. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody wants to hear your fucking story, Dan. Just kill yourself. I lived with this fucking constant repetitive thought and voice in my head to kill myself. The fact I'm alive is fucking amazing. I had bladder issues like a motherfucker too. I wasn't peeing myself or anything, but it always felt like I had to piss. It was like cystitis, as I think it's called. It always felt like I had a full bladder. It was so fucking awful. So mind you, the akathisia, it's the feeling of where you always, your insides are fucking always moving. And the only way you can really stop them from moving is by moving. But I couldn't really move, so I had to deal with it. And I also call it part of that symptom, I call it the snow globe effect. Because if I stay still long enough sometimes, some of that motion will calm down. But as soon as I move my leg like this, and I still feel it now, my whole body on the inside will move and squirm. Luckily, it's not like it used to be. And it'll eventually slow down like a snow globe and relax more. I was cold, I was hot. You know, typical bullshit for, withdrawals. Tinnitus, my regular tinnitus got about 100 times worse. It was so fucking loud that if it was somebody's only symptom, I could imagine them taking their own life because of it. I developed major vertigo. Are you putting all this together that all these fucking symptoms are all going on at once? So I'm fucking spinning, pressure, pain, tingling. I mean, just all. I could barely move. I could not even feel my legs. Half my face was numb. The pain was insane. My electrical currents, I was getting OCD behaviors. You know, I was fucking terrified and panic and paranoia. Not that people were like looking at me, but it was like just a paranoia and mood swings and spasms. My muscles would move out of nowhere. I would just be like sitting there and I'd be like that, you know, out of nowhere. So like it was just nuts. So I eventually had to start going to the doctors to get checked out because I didn't know if something else was happening. With the support from my former, we decided to go to different doctors and, you know, get to see specialists and go from there. I saw a heart doctor because my heart would go to 200 just by walking. 200 beats per minute. It was fucking terrifying. I had to wear a heart rate monitor on my own just to walk, because I still tried to do stuff because I figured if I just sat there I would kill myself. So I'd like walk to get the mail, and it was fucking terrifying. It was like just to do that in general, I couldn't do. But that took months to get to, you know. For the first half a year, all I did was scream in pain and wish I was dead. I couldn't move. I was pretty much unfunctional. I was just a body laying there. I could only imagine the trauma it brought on people who had to see me. It was absolutely horrid. All I did was I looked online to see what the fuck was happening. And I found a good group called Benzo Recovery. And that's on Facebook, still there. And I learned exactly what was happening, and I saw thousands of other people dealing with what I dealt with. 99% of people can get off these medications like nothing. But there's a small percentage that it destroys. I don't know why. I know it has to do with the GABA A receptor, how it downgrades the receptor because benzos hit GABA A receptor. It's just like what alcohol hits. But alcohol doesn't bind to it like a benzo does. And when GABA A receptor and glutamate in your body work together. But if glutamate has nowhere to go because the GABA A receptor is downgraded, then everything goes crazy. That's my short version of that. But basically my GABA A receptors, which are billions throughout your body, got downregulated and never popped back up like it should have. And it just turned to hell. But I couldn't move. I couldn't feel my legs, couldn't feel my face. I couldn't hear or see correctly. My brain felt like it was coming out of my head. My pain level was beyond what I'll ever experience. You could literally cut off my fucking leg with a saw right now, and I will tell you, it was not as bad as the pain that I dealt with getting pulled off the medication. It doesn't matter. Anybody can you can say anything. There was no worse pain than what I fucking dealt with. And it wasn't just pain. It was that and nerve pain. So it's like the nerves. It was absolutely out of control. The thing is, after I learned from the group, I started learning things to make my life a little easier. Diet was playing a huge role, and I had no idea. I hope this is even in order, because I don't think it is, but diet played a huge role. Taking medications again played a huge role. So many fucking things hit GABA A receptor like benzos do. Now, like I said, benzos bind to it really hard. So some things that don't, like even weed and aspirin hit GABA A receptor, but it just kind of hits it. You know, it doesn't pound it, but it still makes a difference. You know, if I'm feeling really decent, I can take an aspirin and it won't be too bad. But if I'm not feeling well, I can take an aspirin and I'll get hit. It's fucking bizarre. For me to even understand this 6 years later is bizarre. I don't barely understand it. Fucking doctors don't get it. They don't believe me still to this fucking day. I had a fucking neurologist tell me, this can't happen, Dan. This is not real. So, we're all on our fucking own with this. So I started seeing specialists, like I said. I went to see a heart doctor first because my heart was fucking out of control. I wore a heart monitor thing from them for a month, 30 days. And it was fine. It was fast, and he told me to exercise more. So my heart was healthy. It was just really fast. And obviously I couldn't exercise because any kind of stimulation to my nervous system that was literally shocked to death now I was realizing any kind of exercise, even walking far, threw me into a bad wave. And when I say wave, there's such a thing called wave and windows. Waves and windows. Waves is when you feel really fucking bad and you get set back. And windows when you start feeling better. You know, a window doesn't mean you feel perfect, but it's when you start feeling better. So I'm getting into a partial window or a window or a bad wave or a slight wave or whatever. So you'll hear that from me a lot. But like right now, I'm in a fucking wave. It's not horrific, but it's rough. And that comes from stress. And stress is a fucking killer on the nervous system. And when people don't care about your well-being and they want to stress you out, you know. Anyway, so I saw the heart doctor, did that. I saw them all. I don't even remember. I was telling my doctors what was going on. Nobody believed that could happen, so they figured it was something else. I got a ton of blood work, and I saw a rheumatologist. We'll get to that. And I just saw them all. Neurology, all of everything I could. I got MRIs, which was fucking terrifying. Being in a situation that I was in, it was fucking terrifying. So, I'm not getting as emotional as I thought. I think because I thought about it so long. And honestly, I think I've missed half of it. But, so, let's see. I saw the rheumatologist, who was this wonderful Indian man. He was such a great doctor. He got me a lot of like really weird blood work and stuff just to check all these different weird points. And I found out I was ANA positive, which could have meant that I had MS or lupus or something like that. I thought I had lupus, seriously. And I'm like, I could have had MS because I've had MS symptoms for many years. So they did the test for that. They did their stupid test for Lyme's disease, you know, which is never really foolproof, but I told them, I'm like, I could have Lyme disease. I lived on a farm for many years in Wisconsin, so, but everything came back negative, and they said I had, you know, a few things, but it wasn't anything that would have been, you know, doing what it was doing, you know. So he ended up saying I had fibromyalgia. It's a fucking catch-all, you know. It's so stupid. So anyway, I saw all of them. The neurologist was the one who told me that can't happen, and what I was dealing with wasn't real. Stuff like that. Doctors are telling me, you know, if they're not finding anything, there's nothing wrong. And I told them, I'm like, this is complete bullshit, you guys. I'm like, I am telling you what is going on with me right now. I'm telling you my symptoms. I'm telling you everything. Sorry if it looks like I'm laying. I'm actually not. It's just like the weird angle. But I can't sit like that anymore, at least right now. So here I am pretty much debilitated going to these doctors, and they're like telling me to fucking just live my life normally. And I couldn't get disability because they weren't giving me any diagnoses. The only thing I've had was depression, anxiety, and fibromyalgia. Can't get disability for that. It's fucking ridiculous. So, amongst all this fucking crazy shit that I was feeling and dealing with, and the trauma of being that sick and losing everything. So, with the help of my former girlfriend, we kept my job going. She helped my job, and I still had to work. But I was working from home. She took on the part of the job that was out in the field type stuff. Not the hard part. So at least I was home, but I don't even know what to say. People are going to just assume that since I was able to do it, the thing is, it was fucking possible. It was near impossible to do, but I had no fucking choice. But like I said, I told you before I found that group. I ended up, after about 1.5 years. No, I should say about 1 year after I was put on the medications. And after a while I was, after I was taken off the benzos completely and I was put on all those other medications, I decided to start tapering meds. Gabapentin, I got off that relatively fast. I was so sick anyway. I've already changed my diet to about eating 4 things, which was, clean chicken, some vegetables and stuff. And I noticed a bit of a change in some of my symptoms, so I stuck with that. Sorry, my head's getting kind of weird. My voice is starting to sound really weird to me. When I talk for a long time, that happens. So my diet was changed, and I started tapering the medications, getting off of the stuff that was making me even worse. But I didn't know I was getting worse from those medications. So in time, I ended up getting off all the medications but Remeron, which I'm still on to this day. I've been tapering the Remeron for 4 years, probably 4.5 years. I probably have about 3 years to go, but I don't really know. Could take longer. I don't time it out anymore. So I started feeling better as time went on. Symptoms started to come down. But like I said, I joined that group and I listened to what people had to tell me. People told me, don't take medications because those make you worse. And they did, because I did trials for like everything. I mean, I couldn't eat anything weird, anything with MSG, anything with certain ingredients. It was stupid. And I stuck to just drinking water now, and that helped. Stopped taking aspirins and Advils and any kind of headache medications, anything that could try to take away anything that would take away my symptoms, not really take it away, but help it at all, would have a kickback effect. Still does to this day, and will make things way worse. So I told myself I will suffer now so I could have a better life later. And at that time I was being supported, even though I still had to fucking work. But, I wasn't going to be homeless, so I decided, fuck it, I'll just stop taking things. And when I would stop taking things, things would get a little better. And all because of nervous system and stuff that hits GABA A receptors and all that shit, all that techie crap I'm not even going to talk about. But but it was still insane. I couldn't go out yet. I still felt like I was walking on a boat, and I still felt like I was fucking tripping on acid. All that stuff lasted for years and years and years, and it's still there, but it's better. So the more I kept tapering the Remeron, getting off those other medications, because my nervous system at that point was, and it still is, it was so damaged and so weak that anytime something happens, even tapering a tiny, tiny fraction of a medication now, it throws me into hell for months on end. It's still true to this day. My nervous system's completely damaged. My brain is damaged. And I don't care if it doesn't show up in a fucking test. It doesn't fucking matter. I know what I see through my fucking eyes. I know what I feel in my fucking body. If that's not fucking damage, because that's not the way you're supposed to feel. So that's damage. And this is not withdrawal anymore. This is benzodiazepine protracted withdrawal. Basically, damage. Because I went through the withdrawal, and that lasted for probably 3 months. The acute phase for me that was like pure darkness and hell was probably about 6 months. And after that, the pure hell was probably about 2 more years, 2.5. So about 3 years of absolute torture. And then I started to go out with, my then girlfriend, and then I started helping with that part of the job. And I didn't have to drive, so that helped. But it was hell. It was so hard because it was a sensory experience being in the car again, and I could barely deal with it. I had to close my eyes all the time. I could barely walk straight, but I could still know what I was doing. I knew my job, so whatever. So I did it, and I helped, and I felt good getting back to it, but it was, every time I would go out, it would take me a week to recover from it, even though we would go out twice a week. It was hell. Hell. Anyway, like I keep saying and I keep forgetting, the group, I ended up becoming, years later, I ended up becoming an admin on Benzo Recovery Facebook page. I met some of the most wonderful people. And this is going to be part of the story that's really going to be hard for me to tell. It's one thing that I dealt with symptoms that nobody in the world have at the same time altogether. It doesn't happen. What I dealt with was inhuman. I wished I had AIDS and cancer then, because that would have been way easier. I'm looking at people with cancer going out and eating a fucking hamburger. I'm like, I can't do that. But anyway, I met some of the nicest people in this group. And I'll never forget them. I still communicate with them. Not all the time, but sometimes. These people changed my life. It was difficult because I was talking to people and teaching people what to do to survive benzo withdrawal and protracted benzo withdrawal. And I was still on Remeron, and people knew it. And I had damage from, the other medications as well, because my nervous system was completely fucked after benzo, so I couldn't handle anything. So no medications would have worked anyway now because of my nervous system damage. But at least I could be home, and I felt like I had a purpose. I was working, but I didn't feel like I had a purpose. I was trying to remain having a relationship with my girlfriend then. I tried to remain being human. But it was the hardest. I shouldn't have had to be honest. I should have had a place to be taken care of for at least a couple years. And I know that sounds almost impossible, but I should have. But, it is what it is. Everything that happened, happened. But when I joined that group, and I felt good about helping people, I felt like I had a purpose in this horrible withdrawal state. And I hate saying withdrawal state because I wish it just felt like a withdrawal. Heroin would have been a breeze. I was still screaming. My head was still in a world of detachment where I didn't feel I was even closely part of the world. But I knew I was in it. It was just terrible. Here's the problem with joining that group. I met a lot of wonderful people. That's not the problem, but the problem is I saw so many of my friends die over and over. I made really good friends with a lot of people. A lot of people who supported me and were there and kept me alive. These people kept me alive because they were going through with what I dealt with. Most people, 99% of the people didn't have to work, which is good for them. That's where my situation was a lot harder because I had to work and try to maintain a relationship. I saw people losing relationships all the time. And I said to myself, I was one of the lucky ones because my relationship was strong and I knew it wasn't going anywhere. And I had somebody at the time that believed me. So, everybody who's watching the video that was part of that group know how many people died. All the time. So many suicides. I don't think anybody can grasp the amount of suicide I had to watch. It would be a person I'd talked to a week before, and they were dead. It was so hard to watch. Because I was living it, but I was living it worse at the time than some of these people. And they couldn't make it. And I'm thinking, holy shit, I'll never fucking survive this if they're not. I don't share anymore the anniversaries of the people's deaths anymore. I don't talk about them anymore. I gave my piece with it. I stopped being an admin because I needed to start living my life and stop thinking about all the friends that died. I can't even tell you how many there were. There was so many. And you guys, I don't know if you've ever seen anything like it. For somebody who's as sick as I was, and watching people die. And it's not like I was doing much better. I was doing better, but not like it was. And all I could think is, you're next. You're next. You're never going to keep this going. You can't keep this going forever, Dan. You can't. It's impossible. Why don't you just call it a day? Because this is stupid. But at the time, I really cared about my then girlfriend. I really cared about my life. I loved music. The things I loved in life. And in general, I like life. But I'll never forget the amount of death we saw. And when people used to tell me, you're one of the strongest people I've known, I didn't believe it. I'm not even bringing up another 75 symptoms I was dealing with because honestly, I don't have the time. Just name it. Think of a symptom, you fucking tell me, and I'll tell you if I had it. Because you know what? 100% I did. Because it's you literally your whole all your systems in your body just stop, and everything freaks out. So you're literally just a fucking corpse. But time started. So I stopped being an admin. I said goodbye to that. I still remain friends with a bunch of people from there. But I don't talk about this every day anymore. When I did, I told my story all the time because I was fucking terrified. I kept telling my story online. I would give updates about how I was and what was going on because nobody believed me anyway. Doctors didn't believe me. The medical community thought I was full of shit. I'm like, dude, like people are dying all the time and you guys don't fucking care. I thought I was next. I thought about it. I wrote a suicide note. And this is a point of a story that I never told. When I first got ripped off the meds, I assumed I was going to die. I assumed I was going to kill myself. But I wasn't at the point yet because I wasn't sure what was going on. But once I knew what was going on, I still have that note in a folder on my computer. I won't read it. And I'm going to delete it soon. But I just remembered that. It's in a hidden folder that if somebody went through all my files, they would eventually see it. It would be, I was giving away things that I owned then, which I own none of it now. But even giving stuff to people I don't even have anything to do with anymore because you lose a lot of friends and loved ones in this kind of situation. But I wrote the note, and I was going to print it and hide it, that someone would see eventually. But I didn't want to do it because I could not bear to do that to my girlfriend at the time. Because she just didn't deserve to find me dead. And not in a very good way either. It wouldn't have been an easy death. Because at the time I thought I fucking deserved to die in a horrible way. All in this, I had a psychiatrist and I had a therapist too. So, but that doesn't change anything. Nobody will understand what I went through. Even the people that were close that claimed to. I understand. It's impossible to understand that. I had it planned out to a time. I remember the day came when I was going to do it. I cried all day. And I'm like, I'm too emotional to do it. I don't want to die. And that was the day, although and people in my life will never say that I've accepted what was going on because you can't fully accept this. You can't fully accept that you're going to go through years and years and years of torture, basically. But that was kind of the day I accepted. I had to accept what was going on. And if I was going to move on, I can't sit and talk about it every day anymore. So there was a point for the people on my Facebook page that understood my story and listened to it. There was a time where I almost stopped. So I don't think they'd ever knew why, but it was the day I accepted it to a point. It's what I've realized in the end that people around me couldn't accept it. A lot of loss, I lost a portion of my family because of it. I lost my then girlfriend because of this. You know, obviously it's not the only reason, but it's a good portion, you know. In this, you end up becoming a person that you weren't before. Even though it's a way better version, still not, I'm not that person I was before. I'm still sick. I still have a lot of mental issues, a ton of physical issues. I should switch that around. I have a ton of mental issues more than physical that really hold me back. But as you can see, I'm able to do what I do. And I work. I'm single. I have my own apartment now. And that's just recent. You know, my girlfriend of 10 years left. I never thought that would happen. But I mean, that's fine. I'm doing fine. I didn't think I'd do fine. It was all self-esteem at a moment. I didn't think I could deal with it. I didn't think I could do it. But I can. And that's 6 years. I'm still tapering the Remeron. And since the Remeron is a partial histamine, you know, it fucks with your histamine channels big time. Hence why I can't eat anything. And for some reason, I don't know why, but when people get pulled off of benzos, their diet gets really restricted. So I still can't eat shit. I'm still sensitive to smells and stuff like that, and stuff throws me into waves. But things have gotten better. I mean, I've been around different stuff that would normally cause me issues that doesn't anymore. And it might, if I taper my medication, it might make things worse. I don't know, you know. It's just you have to kind of live your life, you know. That's the point of sort of accepting it. But, you know, life was torture for me for a long time. I was supported for a while, and I'm glad for that. But, you know, a lot of negative came from it as well. But things do get better. But you have to, for the people that are dealing with this, you have to pay attention. If you drink alcohol, you basically set yourself back to the beginning. You're basically asking to, you get the fucking point. Don't drink. I know a girl, and I'm sure she's going to watch this, and she'll be like, that's me. She had a toothache. Bad one, because her tooth was fucked up, you know. And she used some Ambisol on her tooth to get rid of the ache. Yeah, it worked. She didn't know why she fell into a fucking horrific wave. And it lasted, 6 months, I think it was, or something. And she felt like she got set back to the beginning. Because there was fucking alcohol in it. I'm talking 2 drops of little alcohol. Yes, that's another thing. Sounds pretty fucking unbelievable, doesn't it? I've seen it happen over and over again to people. Just drops. That's why when I say I can't fuck around, I can't fuck around. Because it's like, okay, here's your benzo receptor, okay? GABA A receptor. It's like this. It gets fucked by a benzo. Then it's like this. And then after the benzo, it goes back to like that. That's a normal person. For people who get fucked up like me, it goes like this, and it never goes back. Now, as time goes by, it starts to heal a little bit, so it's opening back up. It's not how it really works, but you get the idea. Now, if you get a little tiny alcohol in your system, there's billions of receptors that are like trying to heal. Even if it's 2 drops, it's going to make hundreds of thousands of receptors go back like this again. So now you won't feel like you're in an acute stage of benzo withdrawal, but you're going to feel like you got hit by a fucking truck for 6 months of pure hell. So I'm talking drops. Like, I can't even go eat ice cream. Well, I can't have sugar anyway, but I can't even go eat ice cream if it has vanilla extract in it. Vanilla extract has alcohol. Therefore, so if I go to a restaurant and I order something weird, I have to say, I need to make sure there's nothing made with alcohol. And, usually you can tell, but you have to do your research. You have to work really hard to get through this to not get sick. And I've been set back a million times, but not by alcohol. That's the worst culprit. I've had a lot of foods that set me back at least 100 times. You know, I go out to eat with family or something. I order something that seems safe, and then my whole body is squirming and giving me torture for, 48 hours. And then it takes me another week to recover the rest. It sucks, man. So it is what it is. But that's where I'm at. I missed a lot of the story, but I don't have another 3 hours to tell you every detail, every symptom, every torture. I've seen 100 people die. Okay, 100 people probably. But I've also saved lives. I don't save the text anymore, but I was saving text and messages that said, if I didn't hear your story, I'd probably be dead today. So that's why I keep telling my story. Some people will be like, your story doesn't sound too bad. Well, yeah, to somebody, because nobody's ever dealt with it. But when they hear, oh, you had cancer, oh, that would have been horrible. I would have much rather had cancer. Hoping that I would have lived, of course. But I would have rather had cancer and hoped for the best, big time. Anybody going through this would absolutely agree with me. It's not even a question. I would have rather had AIDS and died in a amount of time, because then at least... No, I don't even want to go through that, because you get the point. I'm trying to make it a point that you understand. This is what it's like. It's absolute torture. It's protracted, and I've got years to go. And realistically, being on medications just keeps scratching my nervous system. The longer I'm on Remeron, it's not going to make my nervous system get any better, because I'm constantly scratching at my nervous system. So until I get off the medication, that's when I can really start to heal. But I'm healing slowly anyway. But I get a lot of setbacks, like stress when it came to my former girlfriend. That fucked me up, And just bullshit drama from it. I'm trying to get on with my life, I'm happy. I'm to a point I can take care of myself, even though it's really hard. My skin is still burning right now. I still feel like there's a snow globe inside my body. I still have major amount of pain. I still can hardly move. Some days I feel I can move okay. I have electricity in my body still, but it's not that bad. I have neuropathy in my hands and feet, so it's hard to walk. It's hard to hold things. I still have muscle spasms. I still have pressure in my head, but it's not that bad. I don't feel like I'm walking on a boat anymore. I don't feel like I'm sinking in the ground anymore. I still feel like my head's got like LSD in it still. My visual snow that I had for many, many, many years got way worse after this whole mess. And it's still progressing, which is terrible. So that makes me hallucinate more. So that's a different situation, but the medication makes it worse. My allergies are always terrible, and that's from the Remeron as well, because of it fucking with my histamine channels. My face is still numb, but it's not that bad. I can feel it now, which is awesome. But it's got that tingly numb, which kind of sucks. I still get some spider feelings on the back of my neck, but that's okay. It's not that bad. I can actually live a life. I can actually form relationships now. Like, I could have another girlfriend. I'm good to move on, because I have fucking deserved so much, and my self-esteem's better. I thought my self-esteem was fine for a long time, but it wasn't. That's just a recent revelation. I always thought it was fine, but it wasn't. Akathisia is not too bad. DPDR is always there. I always feel detached from reality, but it's better. It's not as scary. My head is still crawling right now because my symptoms have been so bad, and me talking this long like this is stressful. But I wanted to do this story because I haven't updated it in a bunch of years because I couldn't handle it. But I think people deserve to hear my story. And I have years to go. And when I taper the medication, it's fucking torture. It's absolute torture. And I feel sorry for anybody who has to actually watch me go through it. Because you have to be strong. But people who get to meet me now will see me for me and know what I'm dealing with and know that's who I am right now. But no, it will get better. I've always known it. I've always known it would get better, but it would take like a decade. And it was up to me if I wanted to do that or not, or just stop my life. And I chose to live, and here I am. I'm going to go on. I just saw a couple questions come up, so I'm going to go see what I got here. I would never delete this video. This is my benzodiazepine awareness video. It says, "Hi Dan, could you not delete this video? I would like to share it with my family members and friends. Thank you sincerely for taking time to share a detailed story of your benzo withdrawal experience." Absolutely. I will never delete it. Let's see. Hi. Do you still suffer from insomnia? Has anything helped? God bless you. Yes, when I taper my medication, the Remeron, I still have insomnia. Bad insomnia at that. And it'll last for like a few weeks to where I almost don't sleep for a few weeks. But anything that's helped is the Calm app. That does help. I like sleep stories and meditations and stuff. I mean, it doesn't really work, but it does help get your mind out of your fucking mind. You know what I mean? You explain your suffering in ways that I fail to. Big respect for speaking out about this. Yeah, it does. It sucks, but... Hi, Katrina. It sucks, especially when people don't understand. Nobody understands. I mean, I don't even understand. I just tell what I think, you know? I mean, it's... Yeah. Wade just likes my long hair. Yeah, it never comes down. Not for these videos. But if anybody's watching this from the outside, this is my YouTube channel, Dan in Recovery. I don't really do a lot of talking about stuff anymore, other than I just sit and bitch about life. But honestly, I've got hundreds of videos from the last 5 years. So this is it. So if you want to hang out and watch, you know, I'm here. So anyway, that's it. That's all you guys asked. So that was easy. Life is fucking hard. Getting through this is fucking hard. And as people said to me in the past, this will be the hardest thing you've ever dealt with in your life. No shit. Everything I deal with now is so much easier. I get stressed out because my nervous system's so fucking fucked. But everything's so much easier now than what I'm used to. People wonder where my bags under my eyes come from. But I've managed to gain some weight back. I've started losing weight again, but I haven't been eating the way I should. So I got to eat more. But I'm still at a healthy weight. So it's good. But things are better. I have years to go. And I'm going to suffer through it. And right now it may seem like I'm doing okay. I haven't tapered since last October. It is now July 11th, Benzodiazepine Awareness Day. And yeah, here I am. I'm fucking alive, and I'm here to support people when I can. But understand, I'm not going to be doing videos all the time anymore because I'm living my life. And I can't make my whole life about this anymore. I did for a good 5 years. 4 years probably. But I can't make my life about it. Just can't. I've got 2 new cats to take care of, and I've got me to take care of now, and, you know, nurture my relationships, you know, that I'm building. Stuff like that. I mean, I care about all you, and I'm always here. But, you know, I have a lot of old videos too. Still so weird that my face is still half numb. But, you know, anyway, I love you guys. And thanks for your support throughout the years. And I know some of this was kind of hard to listen to, you know, just talking about, you know, suicidal stuff. I got one last. Hey, Cindy. I'm doing what I can. You know what I'm saying? She just said, I'm glad you're living your life and stuff like that. And yeah. None of it's going to be easy. I mean, everything I do is 100 times harder than anybody else. But you got to do it. I have to pay rent every month somehow. So no matter how fucked I am, I'm going to get through it. So are you. Just fucking take care of yourself. Watch your fucking diets. Don't drink alcohol. Quit the fucking drugs. Don't bullshit. Get through this. And we'll get through it together. I mean, we're pretty much alone. We've been alone for years. And we're going to remain alone. But you have to advocate for this. And that I've been advocating it for years. I mean, I even put up flyers in hospitals, you know. So, the Benzo Coalition, let me get you the website. Go to www.benzoinfo.com, which is the Benzodiazepine Information Coalition. You can get all the information about it there. You can be reinformed about everything I even said. You know, and there's doctor lists there where if you need a benzo-wise doctor, which there's not a ton of, but something like that, or things you should stay away from, you know. I mean, there's just so many things. I mean, it's ridiculous. And there you can print out things to give to people. It's massive. It's a big group, and it's grown a lot since. You can donate to them if you feel inclined. And I've done interviews and talks with people from there, and I don't know. You're just good supporters, and yeah. Anyway, love you guys. I'm cutting this. It's 82 minutes. I expected 60 minutes. I went over my allocated time. I can't speak, but love you guys. And take care. And this video will stay up for good, so share it if you want. It's long, so I don't know if anybody will really watch it that you share it with. But they'll probably look at me and be like, that long hair, he's probably just popping pills. But if you just listen to that whole story, you should fucking know better. So take care. Love you guys.